Welcome back to Jog On, running you through to geography success. This episode focuses on glaciation. So, you're bored of revising in traditional ways. Well, one approach is to use these videos to help you. First of all, we're going to focus on glaciation, and again, look at how the topic has broken down. So one part of the topic for you second years during G3 is glacial systems and dynamics. One key thing that you will have to look at is what is a glacial system and what are the dynamics of a glacial environment. So, looking at this, there are 3 or 4 key things to consider. The first one is input. There are inputs into the glacial system in the form of snow and rain. There are a number of processes occurring, 3 of which are abrasive, which is plucking, abrasion and freeze-thaw. You also have 2 areas within the glacial system. The zone of accumulation, where snow and ice has been accumulated, and the zone of ablation, where it has been lost. Also within your system you have outputs. The outputs are generally meltwaters and moraines. As you can see, glaciers don't move uphill, they move downhill. Glaciers, just as a bit of background, originate from heavy snowfalls over a prolonged period of time. It often has many air or pore spaces between the flakes, and over time the weight of new snow compacts and creates the glacier. Do not forget that glaciers are large bodies of ice that flow downhill due to gravity. They form where temperatures are sufficiently low for the snow to freeze and to persist on top of a mass of ice or rock. So, moving on. There are many types of glaciers. You need to understand that there are warm and cold-based glaciers. You need to understand that glaciers vary in size and their geographic location. One key thing to understand, and which you may be able to explain in the exam, is the concept of the ice budget. Similar to the water cycle, the ice budget is looking at whether the amount of ice coming in and going out of a glacial system is in equilibrium. So for example, if the glacier is melting and retreating, the ice budget is likely to be negative. If not much is being lost, the ice budget is going to be positive. One key thing that may come up in the exam might be to describe the key features of the glacial zones. So in terms of that, you would be looking at the accumulation zone and saying there is fresh snow, firn and glacial ice. There is then the equilibrium line, and in the ablation zone you'll be explaining the landforms that occurred there. Similar to looking at water budgets when looking at rivers back in first year, you can see that this is looking at a budget in terms of the ice. So for example, where the periods of gain and loss are. So for example, looking at this diagram, you can see that the net loss is during the summer months. One key concept that is in both the first and second part of the topic is the impact of climate change on glacier budgets. Basically, glaciers are retreating due to climate change at the moment. You need to know and understand the extent to which that occurs. Another key area in the first part of the topic is glaciation and its erosion and weathering landforms. So, thinking of the landforms that exist and the processes that go on, you need to know about freeze-thaw, abrasion and plucking. You need to know that the landforms that are formed, so for example, erect and pyramidal peaks, hanging valleys, corries and tarns, ribbon lakes, and an example of a pyramidal peak, and also a U-shaped valley. You also need to know of various landforms occurring due to deposition and transportation. So for example, you will be looking at things such as drumlins and eskers, cave terraces, etc. Looking on at glaciation, deglaciation is one of the last parts of the early section of the topic, and you need to understand its effects on the landscape. Often it leaves landforms such as pingos. So for example, you can often have situations where the layer of permafrost is melting and as a result of that permafrost melting and decreasing, you get a range of landforms being created. One thing that you have is solifluction, whereby layers of rock are being pushed up or down depending on the meltwater and the permafrost content of the ground. Solifluction is when the active layer thaws in summer. Excessive lubrication reduces the friction between soil particles. Even on slopes as shallow as 2 degrees, part of the active layer begins to move downhill. This leads to what's known as solifluction lobes, tongue-like features forming terraces on the side of valleys. Another key feature that you have is scree slopes. One thing that you could be asked to do, which is often in the exam, is to outline the features created by deglaciation. Another key thing, and this is where the topic divides in two, is to look at why glacial environments are important. So, looking at this diagram, what can we see? Well, first of all, glaciers are important because of their output. So if a glacier goes into the sea or ocean, it often is bringing with it fresh water, because the ocean or sea is salt water. It will change the balance and the temperature of the seawater. Also, what you have is you have the creations of icebergs, which can have a human impact. You also have the issue of meltwater, which could lead to flooding. The retreat of glaciers is also an issue, as it can create issues for humans in terms of tourism. Going on to the final part of the topic, and often a key focus of the exam, is what methods are used to manage the glacial environment and how successful are they? So, as you can see, this splits in two. Humans in glacial areas and glacial processes. Thank you for watching.